some of the buildings that we don't need anymore and some of the ones that we really do need. And I think the kind of next bit for me of the voluntary sector conversation is people have talked about a hub for years. Now our hub's got advantages and disadvantages because everyone's individual identity is important. And is there a way to do that where the kind of overheads and people hang on to their brands and their own organisations, but we kind of come together potentially sharing space? And I think now that we have some certainty about funding, that could be a good chance now to kind of really put that forward. And I couldn't agree with you more about the kind of direction of travel for kind of broader representation in the council politically, and also I think in terms of kind of officers and kind of people who work for us. And we did a lot of work to make sure that actually things like the graduate scheme, where we had some criticism in the past of people saying, well, actually, where are all the black people? Because they're not here. Well, what is going on there and wanting to take that back and making sure that we address that at all levels of the organisation, because that's where you do have to make sure that the council genuinely reflects the community that it's serving.
And we should certainly try and employ the good people that we got in the borough like Hazel.
Wow. I'd have Hazel for leader, you know, we'll never do it.
Good evening, Leader. First foremost, I've written to many of your colleagues. Very few of you do reply. You have, I'm happy to say. And I've written about myself. I've written about things I've learned from the community, from various different parents. And I have a 5-year-old autistic son and waiting for an assessment myself. That's an area which we haven't even touched on today, because embedded in that are a lot of children who are here for one reason or another, with parents dealing with various immigration situations that have no recourse to any kind of funding. Now, they're probably the most vulnerable children, and once again, maybe some of the work you're doing in regards to the sanctuary, they fall under that statistics. I'm curious about if we know any numbers as to what that is, and therefore what type of resources is required for them, and therefore what is in place, and if there is inadequate resources, how we can come together as a community to primarily look at those specific children, because they're extremely vulnerable. With that, I think it's been very welcome with some of the people I know that you've actually responded and you've taken some time to do so. You haven't just come up with an answer, you've gone back and done some research. But I think they would like to come back to you with your feedback about that, because there are some areas which, I guess on your table, it seems as if it's been represented, the organization is listed, but in terms of actual service behind that branded name, it's very little, and when it exists, there's very little, I guess, in regards to overall resources to support it to do what it needs to do. And so some of those vulnerable children, once again, the problem compounds. In addition to that, I mentioned when I first started speaking, writing to many of your councillors, and you did mention there are 6 now from the BME background.
6 million, there's
older ones, but there's... how comfortable do you think they feel, in your opinion, dealing with BME specific problems, given that there's going to be some degree of a conflict of interest embedded within their role, and to be seen to be favoritizing somebody from the BME maybe, and somehow look onwards in regards to their role. So what I'm trying to say is that their ability to actually do some of the work they need to do on behalf of the BME community, as I'd imagine we look at them, is negated somewhat. I would like to see what your thoughts are in regards to that. And more importantly, I think Gilles spoke earlier on in regards to some of the structural elements that are built into mental health specifically. I think Mark, in his presentation earlier, discussed some difficulties, particularly within the voluntary sector. And I would like to support that, saying as a service user and a service user rep for Change Grow Live, which is one of the main mental health organizations in the borough, and having tried to be a member of GAIN, which I think you mentioned earlier on, I am still not represented in very, very few wellbeing boards at the moment. And that's not without want of trying or a number of voices shouting here. Can you please, would it be possible to shed some light as to what you can do about that, if there is anything you can do at all?
Okay. So I guess three kind of broad things there. So I think firstly in relation to issues around children with SEND issues, I'm getting complaints from parents and complaints from schools. So one of the interesting things about this role at the moment is kind of saying to the council, well, we've got some issues to deal with, and people say, well, no, we don't. And I say, well, we've got two different groups now from two different perspectives saying that there's issues and challenges. So we're bringing together a group of head teachers. There's something called the Greenwich Community Schools Partnership that exists. It's chaired by Douglas Gregg of Policy Manor. So I met them before Christmas, and we're having a kind of opposite a head teacher conversation to say, this is our experience and this is the challenges and this is what's going on. Second to that, Greenwich Parent Voice, I don't know if you know them.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so basically they've written in to say, can we do a kind of public forum meeting to deal with issues about children with SEND and the council's response to them? And I said, absolutely, so we're going to do a date in March, I think it's been agreed, so we can advertise that for people to kind of come down to, because that should be a kind of public conversation, really. And that is all about what people's experiences are and what the challenges that they are facing that need to be dealt with. So it's on my radar. We haven't absolutely fixed it, but hopefully this could be the start of moving in the right direction.
Just jumping on that bit, Remy. I think that's a really positive initiative. Could you link us in with that?
Yeah. So we
can help make sure that
promote it and everything. Yeah.
More than promote, but in terms of the structure of it.
Yeah. So the second bit, I think, around new members and their ability, I suppose, to be kind of champions. Conflicts of interest is always difficult for councillors, because what I'm enjoying saying to the new councillors is the experience of being a councillor what you thought it was going to be. And university, the answer is no. And actually, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that role. And then how you, as a member of a particular community, are a champion for that community, but also a champion for the ward that you represent. And I guess there are tensions there sometimes. And it's not an easy life choice to make, particularly not when actually, we're in a kind of series of, we're about to do the budget. We've had some massive budget pressures this year, so millions of pounds overspent in some areas. When you're getting into very difficult decisions and having to defend things that no one ever got into politics to do. And I think all I would say is I think that we've got a great representation of people from across different communities, and they're on the start of the journey, and we need to be as helpful as we can to them, but also make sure that all of you are holding all of us to account, because in the end we all represent different elements of the community, but we're all kind of Greenwich in the end. And that's a unifying factor. I think just as on the point of mental health, I spent Friday afternoon up at Oxley's actually, and out with a team of district nurses in the afternoon, and they've got a new chief executive called Matthew Traynor, and I think it would be great to get him to do kind of facilitate conversation with some people about real life experience and what the challenges are. Because interestingly, he was telling me that they've started to employ people with lived experience up at Oxford's house in different places, and the level of institutional resistance that he's getting to that is quite a fascinating story in itself. And I'd be very happy to come to that, because I do think there's some real big issues about quality and mental health that have got to be dealt with. So that would hopefully be one of the conversations.
Would that give? Would that?
I'm going to sort of bring it to a close, because I can see people are wanting to leave, and we've got a couple of bits that we need to get through. So, can I just say a really big thank you, Danny? Okay, so very quickly, I said that every time. In terms of the accounts, Peter, just so that we can.
I'll keep it very quick. The accounts, you've got a summary on pages 18, 19 and 20 of the pack you've got now. I won't go through anything in great detail. Safe to say that income was about £8,000 overall, £12,000 overall, up on last year, due to additional work that we were doing and getting paid for, primarily. And our expenditure, which we control very tightly, increased by almost exactly the same amount. So we try to make sure that we're spending our money wisely within the scope of the funding that we have. That resulted in a surplus at the end of the year of just £3,000 of the £187,000 income that we got. So we're very tight. We have £17,000 reserves carried forward into the current year, current financial year, which should see us relatively okay this year. Our objective is to build up reserves so that we have enough available to fund the organisation if something happened and funding stopped, to allow us to run the organisation down in an organised manner. We're not at that stage yet. Our objective has to continue to be to build up reserves until we reach that situation. Looking forward, really good news to hear about the funding from Greenwich. It does leave a bit of a shortfall in terms of what we've had in previous years. So our task over the next 6, 9, 12 months is to find additional sources of income to allow us to carry on doing what we're doing now, and to benefit the community in the way that we hope we demonstrate today that we have. That's it.
Okay, thank you. That was good. Across the points then. Any questions on the accounts?
Actually, he has answered what I was going to ask about my results. The levels